Well, it was the final day of practice here for the FLW Cup on Lake Ouachita. It's a little stormy out right now. We got a little break. We got Andrew Upshaw joining us. Andrew, this is your second straight FLW Cup, so congrats there. We've heard it all this week. We've heard a lot of, what's a grind, stuff like that. What's your thoughts?
I mean, the fishing's definitely off a little bit. It's not as good as I was really hoping it would be. But, that's the thing about the FLW Cup. It's in August, so typically in August, pretty much everywhere you go in the country except maybe Lake St. Clair is going to be kind of tough, but I came into it knowing that I wasn't going to get a lot of bites, and that's fine. I like grinder type tournaments where you got to get 5, 6, 7, 8 bites a day, and throughout practice I've kind of just gone shallow, gone deep, and just kind of mixed it all up to try to figure out what I was going to do, and I'm probably going to mix in both. But I mean, overall, it wasn't a bad practice. Like, I've had worse practices, like Kentucky Lake, like this year was a really tough practice for me. This one definitely wasn't as bad as there. So,
well, the one interesting thing I was thinking about today when I was riding around on the lake is the weather conditions today seem like they might set up about how maybe Friday will, at least in terms of the forecast. It was kind of cloudy. It was a little cooler today. We got the rain now. Did you notice any difference in the fishing today versus the last 3 days?
I mean, not really. Like they kind of bit the same way today as they have been. Yesterday was really bad. I think I only had 3 bites all day.
Okay.
I mean, it was real bad. Today I had 10 or 15 bites, and every other day was about the same. So I'm hoping that it kind of stays the same, really and truly.
Sure.
I mean, because when I get a bite, it's typically a pretty good one, and I mean, every once in a while you'll catch a little one or get a little bite or something, but I mean, if it takes what it typically takes, I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, I kind of want to ask you about your upbringing in like Texas, Oklahoma, that region of the country. I feel like can help prepare you with a lot of the right tools necessary to catch fish out here, right? Like there's deep grass here, there's brush piles, there's drops, so you can get shallow on the bank and do a lot of stuff. Do you think, like, does Ouachita have any similarities to back home at all?
Oh yeah, I mean, when you start talking deep hydrilla, I mean, that's just like our wheelhouse back home.
Yeah.
And so, the hydrilla isn't really as good as I was hoping it would be. Last year I came in August just in case I'd made the cup, and the grass was 10 times better. I mean, it was everywhere. It was matted, and I couldn't wait to get back because I really wanted to go pitch a big jig in the grass. But it's not quite where it needs to be for that this year. There's still enough where you can go drag a big worm, crank up some with like a rattle trap, something like that.
Sure.
You can catch some fish doing that. But the same time you can take a big topwater and go down the bank and catch a 5-pounder as much as you can go out in some school and fish and catch a 5-pounder. So it's a really unique and diverse fishery, and I really like these kind of places.
Well, I guess there's probably not much really to cover that we haven't gone over earlier in the week, but I kind of want to hear, after 4 days of practice, where you're thinking weight-wise. We'll see maybe a winning weight, maybe just to make the final day cut.
Well, I mean, it really depends on what type of weather we have. I mean, they forecasted rain every day this week that we've had, and today's the only day that it's actually rained.
That's true.
So I want to say that if it rains on Friday, the weights will be up. There'll be an uptick in the weights. I mean, if you look in the history of this tournament being at this lake, typically on days like today is when they bite the best. There'll be 10 bags over 14 pounds. And I could see that happening on Friday. A cut weight, depending on the weather, is going to be anywhere between like 21 and 24 pounds, I would say.
That's pretty consistent, I think, with what we're hearing a lot this week.
And the winning weight, I mean, is probably going to be, I mean, if you look at years past, it'll be around that 39 to 41 range.
Okay.
In 3 days. So, I mean, it might take a little bit more, it might take a little less, but I mean, that's what it's taken the last 3 times we've been here, other than the Suggs tournament where it didn't take hardly anything.
Right. That one was a little tough.
Yeah, that one's bad. So,
before I let you go, we got some thunder rolling off in the distance, but for the folks watching this is kind of their last crack to get some fancy fishing info. So I want you to give me a couple, like 3-4 guys you think people should have on their squad this week, and you can include yourself.
Well, obviously I would include me. We wouldn't be here if we weren't trying to win this tournament. So I'm fishing to win. I won't have any spinning rods on the deck this tournament. So
maybe one in the rod locker.
One in the rod locker, just in case I need a keeper. But you know, you got to look at guys like Jeff Sprague. Sprague is going to catch them. He's really been just on fire the last few years.
He has.
And this place really fits him well. You know, he's really good when it comes to these shallow water and mixing it up derbies. Todd Castledine, I think, is another one you got to watch out for.
Definitely.
And you know, that just comes from Texas roots. I understand how these fish are setting up right now, and he and I are staying together, and I know he understands it too, because of what we've dealt with back home, and he's not afraid to go throw a big bait for 5 bites a day. And in the same way as I don't mind going fishing for 5 bites. That's not a big deal. So I could see him being a big sleeper. You know, somebody just knock him dead.
I like it.
And I got to stick with the guys from Texas. You know, that's just where I'm from. You know, I live in Oklahoma, but I am a Texas guy. But I mean, if you looked at FLW's Instagram today, you obviously saw birds just lighted up. So I mean, that's a kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah,
I would probably have him up there too. So those 3 guys, including myself, that'd be who I'd be picking right now.
Well, I love it, man. I'll let you get back to your truck before the rain sets in here. You get to sleep in a little tomorrow. We'll see you all dressed up tomorrow night at the dinner. And stay tuned. We'll see how this thing shakes out.